Welcome to The Walk. I'm Kim.
And I'm Neil.
Today we're going to look at, are we living in the end times?
So for those of you that have been following along, we did a 4-video series. And after everything that we've talked about, AI, digital systems, global control, and the question that almost everybody asks themselves,
Are we actually living in the end times now? And this is something that people have been asking forever. This isn't a new question. I think every generation has looked at what's happening in the world and wondered if they're the ones living in the last times, in the last days. There's wars, instability, cultural shifts. I think there's been a lot of people like with those boards with the red string trying to connect everything to see is it today? Are we getting closer?
like a crime scene investigator.
Yeah.
But what's really different right now is how fast everything is changing. Technology, global communication, the economic system. I mean, everything is really accelerating. And for a lot of people, that speed makes it feel like we're moving towards something and something big, not just going through normal history. Although I will say, I have found it's been pretty interesting in my lifetime how much history does, in a way, repeat itself.
Oh, yeah.
Would you agree with that? When you look at Scripture, the Bible does describe conditions that exist in the last days. Things like, deception, moral confusion, and turning away from the truth. But it also makes something very clear. No one knows the exact time.
And that's important because it shifts the focus. Instead of trying to predict a date or pinpoint where we on a timeline, especially growing up where I went to like a very kind of out there church, there was a lot of times where they made these predictions and they were like, it's going to be this certain day. I mentioned before in a video, like when Y2K happened, we all stayed at church that night, like it's going to happen tonight. And so I think when you do that, it's not good because then you're like, you can make people lose faith because then, you're building it up like, oh, it's happening for sure. And then it doesn't happen. And then it makes them question like, well, are you really speaking to God? So I think that's important that we're not supposed to know the day and the time. It's just important that you're spiritually prepared and not like just informed.
Was being in the church like a faster elevator? You weren't get that before?
I don't know. And some people become so consumed in it. I mean, like I spoke before, like I get anxiety. So last thing I need is just to be like trying to connect every like piece of news information, every headline to say, is this it? I think it can lead to fear, anxiety, and even distraction from what really matters.
And on the other side of the coin, you have people who, they completely ignore it. They treat anything related to the end of times as irrelevant or just symbolic, or they miss the fact that the Bible does call us to pay attention and to stay alert. So what actually matters? The real issue isn't figuring out exactly where we are on the timeline. It's asking whether you're ready no matter when it happens, because whether it's soon or far off, the call to follow Christ doesn't change.
And like they used to tell us at church all the time, you could be hit by a bus tomorrow, so you better be ready. And that's where it becomes personal. It's not about fear, it's about alignment. So it's about, staying grounded in your truth and, just you should always be living in a way that reflects your faith and continually, like we made this channel, we call it the Watchman's Walk because it's not like a destination, it's a continuous walk. So you're always growing. So making sure you're always working towards having a better relationship with God. And this talk also makes me think of a very popular scripture, and that's from 2 Peter 3:8, and I'm just going to read it because I don't want to mess it up. I didn't have that from my Bible quizzing days. I didn't learn this scripture. And that's what the Lord, one day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like one day. So yes, even saying it's coming soon, but we don't understand. I think our human brains don't comprehend the whole, timeline of when things will happen. So stop trying to guess like an exact date. Yes, we're not supposed to know.
Yeah, I mean, they always say there's no time on the other side, so it's not like something you can really make relevant to our current life.
And another important scripture to remember is Matthew 24:36. And that one is, but of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So stop trying to guess. All the things we've talked about, AI, digital systems, global changes, they can all raise important questions, but they shouldn't replace the foundation of your faith and making sure you're continuing to have that, relationship with God and building on that. And that should be your focus.
Exactly, and those things might be part of a bigger picture, or they may not. but your responsibility doesn't change based on that. You're called to live with clarity, conviction, and the truth. So instead of asking, are we in the end times?
A better question might be, am I living like it matters if we are?
And if you've been wrestling with all this,
The next question becomes really practical.
can Christians actually use AI and still stay grounded in faith? Watch this next video. We break down that very clearly.
Thanks for walking with us. We love to hear your guys' thoughts below. Please comment. We like to hear your, different views, because these are just our views, but what are yours?